Good morning. A little foggy looking. Let's see here. Maybe better, maybe not. But let's get going on our Bible study. There we go. Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So, there you go. Morning, Mike. So I missed your call. Maybe we can get in touch today. Guys, here it is. Where's your treasure at? Because wherever you place your treasures, well, that's where your heart's at. Now, the obvious, and I mean, it's more than obvious perhaps, application of this is money, right? Wherever we put our money, well, that's where our heart is at. We financially invest in things that we love. We invest in things that we, want to see grow. We invest in things that we want to see last. We invest in things that we want to show off. That's where we spend most of our money. We invest in the things that bring us pleasure. And so he's talking about Jesus, not, storing up and having all these treasures and having all these things, and then, knowing that moth and rust destroy. All those things can be taken away. And yet there are treasures in heaven that can't be taken away. One picture I've always enjoyed, when I was a kid, I used to watch Supermarket Sweep. Remember that? Or Sweepstakes, or just Supermarket Sweep, I think it was, where they, had to answer questions about food products and this and that. But at the end of the show, right, the only reason you watch the show is because at the end of the show, they get to run through the store with their grocery carts, right? And they get to like put food and stuff into their grocery carts. And I always used to imagine myself just hooking with my arm, and just knocking everything into my cart, going for the turkeys and hams and whatever else gave you those bonus prizes. The point was, though, is that these people would run around the store gathering up all the goods they can before their time would run out. And so sometimes I've wondered, if you were on that show and you had the timer and ready, set, go. And then all of a sudden, it's like you're on your phone and you're trying to finish, one last battle on Clash Royale. Or you're scrolling Instagram. Be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take off with this cart any second now. Just I want to see 1 second. I haven't gotten through all the stories. I haven't gotten through everything that's updated. Or you stopped, to clean off the smudge on your shoes. And yet the timer is ticking. And there's all this stuff up for grab. But you're distracted with other things. That's really the life we live in. We live in a world that shall soon pass away, and everything herein to burn up with fervent heat. And many people kind of dilly-dally, like the timer isn't going, or like there isn't just a whole place in front of you full of things just for the taking. For wherever your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I mean, that's the idea, is that we can examine where our heart is at by examining where our treasures are at. Now, money was one of the big things, but time is another, right? I mean, most of us, I don't think, spend a lot of money on social media, but we sure invest a lot of time there. And it's not necessarily unfruitful. It's not like social media doesn't have its benefits. That's where we're at right now, right? So it's not bad. But where we spend all of our time, entertainment is really just about our treasure being ourself. We like to be entertained, and therefore we fill ourselves with things that satisfy ourselves. It doesn't matter if it's a TV series or movies or sports. I mean, you spend an hour watching sports, it's no different than an hour watching a movie. I mean, you watch it because it's satisfying to you. That's why you watch it. And there's other things. I mean, it could be books, reading books. Now, I mean, there's books that definitely have content that really edifies and strengthens you and teaches you, but there's other books that are just for fun. And the point is that wherever our treasure is, there our heart is. Where's your heart? I think something that every Christian ought to be thinking about is, how is their heart concerning their family? How is their heart concerning their church? Where is their heart at concerning their Lord? And in reality, if our heart was really for the Lord and for the things of the Lord, you'd think we'd be investing our time in Him, both individually and corporately. If we really treasured the Lord, we think that even our financial decisions would even reflect that as well. It's something that we love, being able to come together and gather on a Sunday or on another day of the week and to worship the Lord together. The reality is it's all of you guys that support your churches, right? It's you guys who support what's going on there, and it's only by you guys, well, from the Lord, of course, but that your church could ever grow, change, upgrade, have nicer, newer things. Well, it's the faithfulness of God's people speaking with their money, with their treasures, saying, yeah, this is where my heart's at. It's like King David when he looked at himself, dwelling in a house of wood, and he thinks, man, I've got such nice stuff. And the Lord, He's dwelling in a tent. And it laid it upon his heart. Hey, I want to build the house of the Lord. I want to see God do great things. And you know what? I may end this life looking like a pauper, but I'll tell you what, I hope God's house looks good. And I hope God looks good. And I hope that good things happen because of it. I hope that people come in and they like what they see and they feel welcomed, and it's an environment that draws them in. And it's funny, but it is true. I mean, you all are very spiritual people. I'm not talking about you guys, but other people. Many people are very superficial, and when they walk into a church, they want a clean church with things that are functioning and light bulbs that are working and paper towel rolls that are full and all that other kind of stuff. And the point is that again, where our hearts or where our treasure is at is where our hearts are at. And maybe your heart's in Africa, and maybe you can't go to Africa, but there are people in Africa who are out there sharing the gospel, and you can send your heart over there with a check and support the gospel work in Africa. And one day you'll stand before the judgment seat of Christ, and He'll begin to read an account to you of Africans saved by you. Lord, I've never even been to Africa. No, you haven't. But you sent your treasures there, and your treasures netted a return. You invested, and you bore interest on your investment. And now you're going to receive reward for eternity because you invested wisely with, as Jesus would say, filthy mammon. that you have here on earth. You used it wisely. You used what God gave you. I don't think God wants you to live like you're poor. I mean, you might be poor, and that's a different story. But I'm just saying, you don't need to opt to live with the worst of things. That way, all money can go. Yeah, but if God puts it on your heart, be obedient to whatever He says. But at the same time, I think we could realize that, am I being as faithful to God as He has been faithful to me? Wherever your treasure is, there your heart is. Does my time reflect the priorities God has given me? Do I put God first? Do I put my spouse and my kids next? Do I put ministry above my hobbies? Giving is honestly one of the easiest ways to serve the kingdom of God. It probably pricks the heart a little bit deeper sometimes, but it is true. Maybe you're not serving in a ministry. Maybe you're not out sharing the gospel. But giving is actually one of the easiest ways to contribute to that. It is worth noting, our church, we were going over our budget. And one of the most exciting things about looking at the budget this recent time is that we're at a place where I'm able to get a little bit of a raise where my wife can work less. And that way she can be spending more time serving at the church, serving our family. And actually, when she's not working, that means I'm not watching the kids, which means I'm now more free to be doing things with you guys. But the exciting part is actually not just that, but it's the fact that, hey, like we're looking like, unless we need to buy a building or something, which that's expensive, but it's like, but until then, it's like, hey, maybe we could bring on more people to serve in the church, more people, more staff. And again, it's that idea that, well, when someone else mows the church lawn by giving up their time, we actually have a gardener, but it's an example. And if I don't have to mow the church lawn, that means I can be doing counseling because you gave up some of your time to open up some of mine so that I can then go and use that time to invest it in the areas that I'm gifted in. As people give financially, faithfully, we watch. As those finances grow, more people can be brought into the church staff, which then will again enable more people to get ministered to. And so, truth be told, yes, giving is actually one of the easiest ways to serve. It's not the only way to serve. But there are some people I think God has just simply gifted their family financially. And maybe they don't feel called here or there, but they're really good at their business. And so they invest their time into their business, but then they try and bless God accordingly. And I know a few people, specifically friends from Ellensburg, that's kind of what they do. They do serve at church here and there, but not so much, the everyday stuff. They serve more on the boards and help with decisions, but financially, God has blessed them, and they just turn around and use that. They figure, okay, Lord, this is the ministry you've given me. So, wherever your treasure is, there your heart is. If it hurts to give, well, then that's something to just examine your heart about. That's all. Give proportionately and regularly is what we learn from 1 Corinthians 16. That we should give in proportion to how God has blessed us. Or proportionally, yeah, that's either 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians. I get lost sometimes. But there you guys go. Where's your heart at? Well, do a little bit of an audit on where your spending is at for both your time and your money. And then you'll know where your heart's at. All right, guys. God bless you. Thanks for joining this morning. There's those buttons kind of up here-ish, 3 of them. Turn on your notifications so you always can know when it's time to log in. That said, I've got a big day ahead of me. I have lots to do. So God bless you guys. And the youth is tonight. Send out the kiddos. My house, doors open 6:30 and not earlier. I keep them locked just to keep the kids at bay. So I will see many of you tomorrow night at prayer. God bless.